Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Douglas Johnson. I am a yoga teacher at the advanced 500-hour level, and I'm also an ordained minister, musician, and kirtan artist. Today I wanted to talk about a book that I read, written by Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Before I talk about the book and the lesson that I took away from the book, I wanted to thank the community that makes these talks available without a paywall, and those are my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to join that community and help support this work, please check out the links below. You can also leave a one-time tip and help by liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting on YouTube. Okay, so very interesting book. I found it really entertaining. So if you just want an interesting read, if you're into rock and roll music, especially if you like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, highly recommend it. The audiobook is great. It's actually written by Mike, or read by Mike himself. So it's his voice narrating the whole thing. And very, very entertaining, just in sense of an interesting nonfiction book to read. Okay, it's his biography. And what was interesting is there was actually, I think, a spiritual lesson in it. I don't know if Mike considers himself particularly spiritual. He didn't really talk about spirituality or God or things like that in the book. But he did talk about one thing that I've mentioned before. You can look back at the videos and you'll see several videos about this topic, which is gratitude. Okay? They've studied it scientifically. They've been shown that people who gratitude journal and do gratitude practices, they are generally happier than people who don't. So it's not just spiritual mumbo jumbo. It really is something, a practice that we can apply and use, and it can help us live happier and healthier life. So what was interesting is I think Mike Campbell, who is the guitarist of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the one who wrote this book, I think he came from such humble beginnings. He was so poor growing up that I think as opportunities presented themselves to him, he saw it through that lens of that poor young boy who couldn't afford his first guitar and really wanted one and eventually got one. But I think he was just grateful for everything that came his way because of that upbringing and outlook. If you grew up in a middle class or upper middle class household like I did, that sense of gratitude may not come as naturally to you because you might have a sort of sense of entitlement, like I'm supposed to be able to afford groceries, I'm supposed to be able to afford a guitar, I'm supposed to be able to put gas in my car. And these are things that you find that there are points at which Mike wasn't able to do these things, okay? So what's interesting is even as Mike became famous with the Heartbreakers and they started having #1 hits and they started touring the world, they started working with Bob Dylan, and other famous artists. What was interesting is what seemed to always save him and what he tried to communicate to other members of his band, sometimes unsuccessfully, is just be grateful. He had the sense that Tom Petty was a great songwriter. I think time has verified that opinion. I think most people would say that Tom Petty is a really great songwriter and he's had a lot of success. So he was just focusing on what was good. There were raw deals that came along. There were setbacks that came along. It's not like everything just went his way. But he had some really amazing moments. Things where it seemed like grace really came to him. And I don't know if that's because of the gratitude, but it does seem that the gratitude was his rudder. that the life he led really was a beautiful one, but also a very challenging one. And some of the other people that he worked with over the years maybe didn't fare as well as he did. They ended up, overdosing on drugs or having other issues or other problems along the way. So it was like gratitude, his focus on gratitude. And at one point in the book, he really talks more about, a little more about gratitude. And I don't know where he learned that. Again, he didn't strike me as someone who's particularly into New Age philosophy or yogic philosophy or anything like that. But it just, I think, perhaps naturally was in his nature. And again, it might have come from his very humble upbringings. But it's something I wanted to share with you. I recommend the book highly. Like I said, if you don't have time to read, you can listen to it on audio, which is probably even better because I think Mike does a great job of narrating his story. And if you do, you'll see these instances where he's focused more on what's going right than perhaps what could be interpreted as unfair or a negative circumstance. So as always, in my experience, gratitude, so powerful. And here is another example of gratitude really perhaps transforming someone's life and making someone's life really magical and special. So check it out. Till next time, everyone, again, namaste. Have a great day. And please help out by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. And if you can, help out financially by leaving a tip or becoming a patron. You can also buy merch on the store, links at the front and the back of the video. Till next time, namaste. Have a great day.